Hello.
Student trustee Hawk,
Present.
President Almendra,
Present.
Vice President Fernandez, Chief Staff Patino, Staff Joe, Treasurer Basta,
Present.
Representative Ramahni,
Present.
Web Administrator Suarez,
Present.
Chairperson Thumu,
Present.
Chairperson Jadari,
Present.
Chairperson Martasa, Chairperson Alvarez, Chairperson Celestino,
Present.
Representative Youssef, Representative Youssef, Representative Ahmad, Representative Beltra,
Present.
Representative Mata, Representative Ahmed, Representative Cruz, Representative Territrue, Representative Castle,
Here.
Representative Karpinski, Representative Haybelli, Representative Sharma, Representative Ansari, Representative Giron, Representative Robacher,
Present.
Representative Gomez, Representative Patel, Representative Cordoba, Representative Dixit,
Present.
Representative Spencer, Representative Lila Spencer, Representative Bodila,
Present.
Representative Hannah, Representative Lopez, Representative Rockenbaum,
Present.
Representative Cavallis,
Here.
Representative Dasgupta, Representative Meghna Dasgupta, Representative Slaughter, Representative Zafar, Representative Saadi, Representative Hadid, Representative Rodriguez, Representative Ali, Representative Shane, Representative Brina Jane, Representative Flores, Representative Blinn, Representative Samuel Blinn, Representative Preobrazhenskia,
Present.
Representative Dean, present, Representative Patel, Representative Latwan.
Present.
All right, thank you. The next order of business is reading and approval of the minutes. Please take the time to read over the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Oh, yes.
A motion to add an item for discussion to
Oh,
the
that would
agenda.
be, agenda. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If not, then the minutes are standing approved. The next order of business is reading and approval of the agenda. Please take the time to read over the agenda. Are there any corrections to the agenda? All right, Representative Nazar. Oh, it's on. You might have to flip the switch. Oh, yes. I motion to amend the agenda with the introduction of resolution 2023 S6/1009. There's been a motion to add resolution 2023 S6/1009 to the agenda. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, the motion is passed. Are there any other corrections to the agenda? Yes, Representative Saba?
I motion to add resolution.
Yes, go ahead and say your resolution code.
Resolution 2023 S6/3004.
There's been a motion to add resolution 2023 S6/2004 to the agenda. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Anyone abstain? Are there any other changes to the agenda? Yes, Representative Moore.
I'd like to motion to update resolution 2023 with like a different dog.
Sure, so, would you like to amend the original resolution or table it and then introduce it?
Table, please.
All right, there's been been a motion to table resolution 2023-S6-1008. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then resolution 2023-S6-1008 is tabled. Are there any other corrections to the agenda? Yes. Yes, yes. Oh, sorry, but Lauren, did you have to motion to add the meeting too?
Hi, I motion to add resolution 2023-S6-1008.
There's been a motion to add resolution 2023-S6-1008 to the agenda to provide for context. This is a new updated version, so that's why it's included. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion is passed. Are there any other corrections to the agenda? Yes, Councilmanager?
Motion to amend the agenda to add an item for discussion.
There's been a motion to add an item for discussion. Go ahead and make your,
Officer reports.
there's been a motion to add officer reports as an item for discussion. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion is passed. Any other changes to the agenda? Yes, Felix?
I motion to add an item for discussion.
Go ahead.
It would be a bystander intervention training.
Okay, there's been a motion to add bystander intervention training as an item for discussion. Is there a second? A second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion is passed. Are there any other changes to the agenda? Okay, if not, please send all related documents in the email thread, and we'll move on to the next order of business. Just public comment. Is there any public comment? Okay. If not, we'll move on to the next order of business, which is guest speakers. There are no guest speakers, so we'll move on to the next order of business, which is old business. There is no old business, so we'll move on to the next order of business, which is new business. First, we have resolution 2023-S6-1007. Representative Dean, could you please read this for us?
So whereas the undergraduate student government finds it imperative to support as well as raise awareness among student mental health, and whereas the undergraduate student government seeks to stress students after midterm and final exams approach, and whereas a movie night event will be held at the Inner Circle in the Student Center East on Thursday, March 16, 2023 from 6 to 8 p.m. for the sake of fulfilling this goal. And whereas that free popcorn and soft drinks are provided for students in attendance in order to enjoy during the movie, and thank them for their participation. Then let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government will allocate $400 to cover the cost of catering, delivery, and the room reservation. Let it be further resolved that any unspent funds shall be remitted to the USG budget, and let it further resolve that the undergraduate student government create the RSVP through Campus Group app in order to estimate the capacity of students joining the events beforehand.
Thank you. I'll now open the floor for discussion. Finally, we'll be moving on to the next. Are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution? Yes, Representative Kwan.
What movie?
Good question. Like, I'm open for this will be discussion for you guys because like this is related to mental health. If you can, I attached some files like under the doc, so you can see like yeah, it's like mental health them, but like I have the movies on my mind, but like I'm still open to any movie related.
Are there any other questions or comments? Yes, Representative Slaughter.
I'm not very sure on this one, but isn't April Mental Health Awareness Month?
I think it should be May for mental health awareness.
Okay, because I was just thinking that maybe.
Oh, it's May.
May?
Yes, May. I'm pretty sure it's May.
Oh, well, never mind.
We can have another one like during that time you want to.
Oh, it was just a suggestion.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? If not, then we'll be voting on this next week. Our next resolution is resolution 2023-S6108. Please find it attached to the email thread. Representative Hannah, would you please read this for us? Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. This is USG's Women's Leadership Dinner. So the chief sponsors are me, Chair Manansky. The co-sponsors are Representative Hasra, Legislative Affairs Committee Chair Alvarez, Treasurer Quinn, Dua, and Speaker of the House, Michelle. So whereas the undergraduate student government serves a diverse population of 450 registered student organizations, many of which provide leadership executive board opportunities for women identifying students. And whereas the undergraduate student government and DOS mission works towards fostering a caring and supportive environment where all students matter, yet many of the significant contributions of women identifying leaders are still under-acknowledged by the UIC community. Let it be further resolved that the undergraduate student government shall host a women's leadership dinner at an approved restaurant nearby campus. Let it be further resolved that this event shall serve as a safe space where women identifying leaders can share their experiences both of struggle and success in their positions. Let it be further resolved that the Women's Leadership Dinner shall invite up to 50 attendees, including a representative from the Women's Leadership and Resources Center, WLRC, to inform leaders of resources to succeed in their positions and as women in higher education. However, this event is not limited to women identifying leaders, but encourages this demographic. Let it be further resolved that the undergraduate student government shall allocate up to $2,500 to the Women's Leadership Dinner and return any unspent funds to the USG budget.
Thank you. I'll now open the floor for discussion. Are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution? Yes, Representative Rueda.
My question is, why can't we do it at UIC in one of the halls?
Well, I would say, so last semester I attended Connecting Student Leaders and it was at a restaurant and it was very formative for me for two particular ways. Just because I saw the value in like providing a meal at like an ambiance of like a really popular restaurant nearby campus. I think it definitely helped with like the large turnout we had. We had a lot of guests. And second of all, being in that environment with like music, food there, of course, I think it definitely helped too with like the networking aspect of it. It was very laid back, it was very casual.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Yes, Representative Karpinski?
What restaurant do you have in mind?
Right, so I'm working with Quinn to ensure that I have an approved vendor, but I was thinking somewhere in Little Italy. There's Tuscany, there's Pompeii. So, but next week I do plan to have a confirmed restaurant as well as a date.
I have paper custom.
Any other questions? Yes, Representative Chidori. Or, oh my gosh, Director Chidori.
What is like a breakdown of like the dollar amount?
Yeah, so, it's everywhere I've gone, it's like for the private like catering, if you want like a room space, it's usually $50 per person. So it's just up to 50 attendees and that's why we're taking out that much just to be safe. But if there's anyone that's uncomfortable with that price, I'd be happy to look at a different restaurant where I could find instead of like private dining, so you don't pay per person essentially. Are there any other questions or comments, Representative Dean?
So it's just like the informative questions. Do you have a list of like the women leadership, like list of like organizations that we are going to have?
Yeah, so there's not specifically like women's organizations. I'm kind of just giving you broad. I'd like to invite a couple academic orgs, people diversity there, like your SAT. I plan on inviting like a sorority as well, just to keep like the amount of like organizations very diverse, because it is like up to 50 attendees. And while I'm on that, talking about attendees, like in my research about why there still is a lack of like female leadership, One way, like one methodology to like help that is mentorship. So when I invite my attendees, I'm inviting one board member and one general member from that organization. So I plan on having like mentor and mentee centered activities.
Yes, sir, thank you. Director Chidori?
Have you contacted like the orgs already, or can we still like send you like recommendations?
Yeah, you totally can. There's a spreadsheet I can share with you. I'm sorry, I thought you were asking if I've contacted someone from WLRC, and yes, I have. I'm hoping the director, Natalie can come, so I just have to give her the date to confirm.
Are there any other questions or comments? Any answer? No. Okay, if not, then we will be voting on this resolution next week. Our next resolution is resolution 2023-S6/2009, amended to the agenda. Representative Safar, would you please read this for us?
This is,
Sorry, can you hear me?
this is the resolution for Money Matters financial literacy event. Whereas several students struggle with debt and inadequate financial aid for college, and whereas students are developing unsustainable spending habits and a lack of awareness on the steps to be financially stable in the future. So let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government shall organize an event titled Money Matters on April the 3rd from 1 to 3 p.m. in SE's Cardinal Room. Let it be resolved that this event will feature roundtable discussions as well as visits from various financial organizations to aid UIC students in building their financial literacy. Let it be resolved that snacks and refreshments, as well as
As a financial planner to
ensure skill application, shall be provided at this event to incentivize the attendance of students. Let it be further resolved that this event shall provide an informative yet engaging experience for UIC students and encourage them to take charge of the financial well-being by building some skills in financial literacy for the future. Let it be further resolved that the undergraduate student government shall allocate a maximum of $866.98 to Money Matters, and any unspent funds shall be returned to the budget, and the budget breakdown is listed in the second.
All right, thank you. I will now open the floor for discussion. Are there any questions or comments related to this resolution? Yes, Representative Dean?
I just wonder, like, if, you know, like, not like capacity, but just estimated.
Well, I'm thinking that probably the maximum amount of students who would probably be attending the event is about 100 students. But what I've done with the financial planners was to give them out to the first 50 students who attend. So at least I would expect at least 50 to show up to the event.
Are there any other questions or comments? Yes, Representative Sauer.
What kind of advertising and outreach are you doing to, or are you planning on doing to make sure that the student, like this reaches the student population?
Definitely liaising with student organizations to bring this event forward to the student population would be good. But we're also going to make use of USG social media platforms as well as posters we have hung around campus. But yeah, that's how I plan to advertise the event to the best of our ability.
If I may, I almost feel like it will probably be almost even better to reach out to the wraparound services as well, like Ladders or AAAN, especially because you get more first-gen students who might have those kinds of issues. So you would have targeted outreach for a targeted population and make sure that like a good event like this doesn't go to waste.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the suggestion. I'll definitely keep that in mind.
Yes, Representative Delay.
All right, so
Gotcha.
So the organizations that we're planning on inviting is 1, PNC Bank, 2, the Office of Scholarships, 3, the Office of Financial Aid, 4, University Bursar, UIC Student Employment, Credit Union 1, as well as a booth featuring USG students. So we'll better be able to inform students on external scholarships, such as those offered by Niche, Bold.org, Scholarships USA, the list goes on.
No, I'm asking for the answer you gave to the student organization.
Oh, I don't think we have a very finalized list right now because we're still in the process of making sure the resolution passes before we reach out to anyone to advertise the event.
Are there any other questions or comments? Yes, Representative Lee.
Is it just a suggestion? Or like, can we have like, financial resources, like we also, or in any kind of form of, the speech, we can, like, the student can help out with the meeting?
Yes, of course. I was planning to include a fact sheet for students along with the financial planner that they'll be taking home, provided that they're one of the first 50 students to attend. But irregardless, students will be walking away with a piece of information that they can keep to ensure that there's some sort of continuity. And also the organizations that will be there will be providing a lot of information and resources for the students.
Representative Karpinski.
What is the, what are the financial planners and like, what do they look like? What's that?
It's actually ordered through Amazon. I can't send a link to everyone, but basically it includes specific sections within the financial planner that includes a monthly budget breakdown, savings. That's from the top of my head, budget, savings, as well as, any expenses that the students have to pay for.
Are there any other questions or comments? Yes.
Also, could it be extended to all the students? I know you said 100 students you're planning on attending. Could we like get more planners?
Of course, you could definitely work on looking to more financial planners, but for the sake of the budget, I included for the first 50 students who are able to attend. So definitely. we can look at that.
Are there any other questions? Answer? All right, if not, we'll be voting on this resolution next week. Next, we have resolution 2023 S6/3004. Representative Ali, would you please read this for us?
So this is titled Expanding Halal Options, and it's sponsored by me and Representative Osaki. Whereas there are 15.6% of UIC undergraduate students that identify as Muslim, majority of whom follow a halal diet. From a survey conducted with 140 students, 96.4% follow a Zabiha halal or halal diet. And whereas a halal diet excludes alcohol and pork, including any derivatives, the Zabiha halal diet excludes the same items, requires any permissible meat to be hand slaughtered. Only halal certified suppliers can provide halal meat and have certification to prove their authenticity. And whereas cross-contamination with regard to a halal diet occurs when halal food products come into contact with non-halal food products. And whereas despite the large population of Muslim students on campus, halal meat options offered on UIC's East Campus are limited to very few advertised halal options offered by Crave in Chicago and a few halal options in the dining hall. And whereas there is limited transparency around halal options offered by Chartwell Dining Services, their halal certified supplier, and part of the protocol to avoid cross-contamination. In the aforementioned survey, 99.6% of respondents reported not knowing who the whole dining hall's halal food supplier is. And whereas the online menu for the Dine on Campus website does not show any classification or icons for halal meals and does not label any meals as halal certified, the website also does not disclose their specific halal meat supplier. However, the online menu labels items as vegan or vegetarian and includes how environmentally friendly the options are. And whereas due to shared sentiments surrounding a lack of trust for the halal meat supplier, cross-contamination concerns, and limited halal choices, 67.9% of the 84 respondents that eat at the dining hall rarely or never choose the offered halal options at the dining hall. Instead, such individuals opt for vegetarian or vegan options. Then let it be resolved, the undergraduate student government calls upon the UIC administration to expand all dining services on East Campus to include more halal certified meals and restaurants in order to accommodate the large population of Muslim students that follow a halal or Zabiha halal diet. And let it be further resolved, the undergraduate student government also requests that the UIC dining services be transparent with their halal meat suppliers by stating their exact halal supplier, halal certification, both in person and online. And then let it be resolved, expanding halal options on campus with proper transparency will increase the amount of Muslim students who eat on UIC's campus. These changes will foster and cultivate an environment that is inclusive to our diverse student body and align with UIC's mission statement of their commitment to diversity. And attached are supporting documentation.
All right, thank you. I'll now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments for? Yes, Representative Wood.
So this survey is ongoing.
So a lot of statistics will be updated next.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Yes, Secretary Daniel.
By any chance, will you share these survey results with, the group that you're in, regarding the new restaurant that will be in place of Chick-fil-A? My question is, can they send the survey results to that working group as possibly like a big inference that there is a huge halal presence on campus?
Yes, Felix.
So for context, the RFP committee that is reviewing all the dining services, anytime I brought up, concerns about not having enough halal options, they are very, they'll say that we have halal options already. If you look at the newly envisioned, space right in front of the restaurant, but they offer halal options. So email this to the chairperson of the committee, and I can look at the but this can definitely be sent to them just so that the students don't feel like there's nothing present. So they might push back and say that they're just more marketing, but I think I understand the right how everyone wants something. So just making sure we that very
Are there any other questions or comments? Yes, Brock.
No, I just wonder, survey results. This is like, you say that there's 140 students that you do a survey on that, and they are all Muslim. Like, that's what you mean.
So we don't know for sure if all of them are Muslim because we were just looking at what diet they follow. So we included what diet they follow, but we couldn't for sure conclude that what percent were Muslim.
So it's like, anonymous, like, certain, like, they don't know, what are we doing?
Yeah, so we told them that we were looking to expand the halal options and work to increase transparency. I don't know if that answers your question.
Are there any other questions or comments? If not, then we will be voting on this resolution next week. Okay. Yes, Felix.
I move to suspend the rules for context. I had thought that when the resolution said last week on this agenda, but I was mistaken. So it's about the food drive initiative.
So, for more context, once a resolution is tabled, there has to be a vote to untable it. So Felix is just adding or returning to the agenda so he can amend it. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Anyone abstain? If not, then the motion carries and we will return to reading and approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Yes, please.
Instead of taking action for as a whole new, resolution. So I motion to, add resolution 2023-6, 2007.
There's been a motion to add resolution 2023 as 6/2010. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, the motion passes. If, we will now move back to, new business and consider resolution 2023 as 6/2010. Is everybody original?
Does everyone have a pulled up?
Oh, okay. Director Celestino, would you please read this for us?
Yes, all right. So the chief sponsor is the campus life committee as a whole, and then the co-sponsor is the treasury committee. So whereas food insecurity is a pervasive issue in many communities, including the student population here at the University of Illinois Chicago, USC, and whereas 30.8% of young adult college students from the United States have reported food insecurity, and whereas the undergraduate student government has committed to serving the UIC community and promoting the well-being of its students, and whereas USG has committed to fighting food insecurity, and whereas the UIC Wellness Center has a UIC pop-up pantry that serves the UIC community by giving food items and other necessities for free. And whereas the Sparky's Closet is a resource for UIC students to get weather appropriate and professional clothes. And whereas members of USG are students who are committed to the betterment of the UIC community, then let it be resolved, USG will host an event titled USG's Week of Giving from March 27, 2023 until March 31st, 2023. Let it further be resolved, all USG members will be encouraged to bring 3 items from the list provided below to donate during GBM 9, March 27th, 2023. Let it be resolved, USG will promote a campaign to ask UIC organizations to participate in the USG food drive. Let it be resolved, all participating organizations will be instructed to donate their items to their respective charities by March 31st. Let it be resolved, all participating organizations will be asked to present receipts documenting the total items donated from the respective charity by March 31st. Let it be resolved, USG will give a celebratory meal to the organization who's able to donate the most items to either charity cumulatively during USG's Week of Giving. Let it be resolved, USG will allocate no more than $1,500 for a celebratory dinner at Pompeii Restaurant. Let it further be resolved, all leftover funds will be added back to the USG budget. You can see in the items attached below, the donation guidelines provided by the UIC Pop-Up Pantry, and then below that is the Pompeii buffet menu, which will be one of the per person meals that will be selected by the organization. We don't have a list just yet outlined by Sparky's Pantry, but we are hoping to have that by next GBM. I yield my time to questions.
Thank you. I will now open the floor for discussion. Are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution? Rather than be voting on this next week. Yes, Secretary Donnie?
I don't know how to ask this question, but how are you? Okay, because I'm a little confused on, first of all, I love this idea. I'm just confused on like, how are you going to like get orgs to do it? Like, is there gonna be like a somebody they can like register to so that they keep track of it?
So the way the food pantry works is that every time you donate items, they have the opportunity to give you some sort of receipt documenting how many food items you donated. So from there, it would be the responsibility of the organization to send it to the campus life committee so we can compile that data alongside with the number of items that they donated to the respective charity. And then a receipt of that documenting whether it be an email receipt or a physical paper documentation saying, on behalf of this organization, X amount were donated. And we're still trying to find out that process through the Sparky's Closet. Ryan, did you work back from them at all? Or? Okay, so we're in still conversations with them to try to figure that out.
Are there any other comments or questions? Yes, Director Dreyer?
I just asked you, but I love the idea, like you mentioned, week of giving. But I think the celebratory meal of $1,500 towards the end kind of counteracts the whole idea of charity. So I'm just curious if you can answer that.
Yeah, definitely. I know we talked about this in the campus life committee, so do any of the representatives want to speak on why Lauren is here? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah. So I think the hope for it is that we'll be donating more money essentially within the items than we'll be spending on the meal. In return.
Would any other campus life committee members like to speak on this?
I was gonna agree with what she's saying. The notion that we have more than $5,000 worth of food in order to break even for that big deal.
Representative Dean?
Yeah. And for more information, the 16 members will be invited to around members for information. So like, it's gonna be like, if you look at the menu, so it's gonna be around like 33 to 35 or 37 per guest. So like, that's gonna, if that's
yes, Representative Karpinski?
Yeah, another problem is that USG isn't even allowed to give to charities anyway. So, like, this is better than doing nothing. So, because that's the only other option.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding this? Yes, please.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Director Dreyer. I think that's a really great point to bring up, just to make sure we're on the same page, you know. One other thing too is that our goal, hopefully, is to get as many organizations involved as possible from a wide, diverse background, from cultural organizations, pre-professional organizations, academic-based orgs, Greek life as well. We're really anticipating that this be a really great way, since this will be the week after spring break, for those students who utilize whatever services needed, that let's say since the dining center won't be in normal business hours, that they have to use all the food in their pantry. So hopefully we're able to replenish that after spring break and really get back to the community. And since it is winter, being able to give warm clothes to those students, hopefully.
Representative Spore?
I have a question. Are you promoting this campaign for all of these organizations or just specific?
So the goal is all UIC organizations that are registered through CSI, because that way I feel like logistically we'll be able to celebrate their accomplishment with that celebratory meal. USG would not be a part of that competition, although we're looking for us as an organization to make a lump sum donation to either charities. We just don't think it would be necessary for us to receive that celebratory meal. So any UIC organization that's registered through CSI will be able to participate. And I'm looking, as Campus Life Committee will reach out to the Public Affairs Committee to get some collaboration on being able to post this on social media and have a good front on it. And also at the end, having some sort of winner being promoted on our social media alongside all organizations that participated. So like having their logo maybe, and then underneath saying donated X amount of items. So it'd be a great way to promote some sort of community here.
Are there any other questions or comments? Representative Dean?
Just for clarification, can it be like non-recommendation for CSI, which is some
I'm not too sure. I don't know if that is possible with our funds. I can't see quite through my peripheral, but is that allowed through, because I know we're not allowed to give money to, in the past, we were only allowed to give money to organizations who were registered through CSI. So I don't know if that would be the case.
Could you repeat the question, please?
So like they are organization, both with CSI, but I know there are like oriented organizations that work with CSI too. So like, can they compete in this like in this resolution and in this competition?
Yeah, the ideology behind this is just having an organization that you can point to. So like the organization as a whole are, you making donations to the food pantry are representing a particular organization. And that's just like to put your name down under that organization so we can keep track of the donations from each organization.
The question was more for if the organization is not registered through CSI and they win by chance, can they receive that celebratory dinner?
I think we should stick to just CSI, registered organizations.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding this resolution? Yes, Representative Lynn?
When does the let it be resolved about encouraging members to know that? I remember somebody bringing up something about or cautioning us to require members to bring food items. So what does that like encouragement?
Yes.
So in our last committee meeting, we were talking about how logistically, I don't think we're in the parameters to require our any of our members in the student government to do anything. So it would be more of that encouragement of everybody during that GPN number 9, the week of the 27th of March. Everyone is going to bring 3 items so that we can have a big box here, and then we can count up to see how much impact the student government can do alone. And then that would be encouraging other organizations, like we're able to do this, you can too. So for those who are unable to, that's understandable, but I don't think we're in a position to require anything. So it would just be everybody looking amongst each other and be like, hey, what are you gonna bring? Oh, I'm gonna bring this, what are you gonna bring, So just encouraging one another to give back to our community. Does that answer your question?
Any other questions or comments? If not, we will be voting on this resolution next week. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the next item of order of business, which is items for discussion. First, we have the representative point system. So just to provide some context, I've made a little presentation. Okay, so what is the representative point system? It was to provide some context. It was a resolution introduced and passed fall of 2021 by a previous administration, and it was active as a system through the 2021 and 2022 academic year within USG. Last fall, we decided to temporarily place it on hold as we believe the system itself needs some reform, but this is the resolution that was attached to some of the resolutions that I introduced a couple weeks ago Okay, so the intended function of the reference system. Mandatory activities, this is all outlined in the original resolution as well, but these are basically existing expected activities from representatives to ensure the success of the USG, which is mostly included in the original resolution to reiterate that fact rather than assign points to these activities, because these are things that are expected out of representatives automatically. So among those activities include attending general body meetings. As you know, we have an attendance policy that we follow, so it's going to be by that rather than the points resolution. Attending committee meetings, again, according to the attendance policy, attending orientation and one-on-one meeting with the speaker. So these are existing guidelines that exist, and they usually fall under the discretion of the speaker. So if for some reason someone can't make orientation or one-on-one, or they have X amount of absences, the speaker is responsible for handling those case-to-case basis. And yeah, it's mostly separate from the point system, so no amount of points were assigned to these activities. So these additional activities that were outlined in the resolution, basically points were assigned to these activities. Some of them include writing and passing a resolution, attending USG events, GDM activities, inviting a guest speaker, introducing an item for discussion, etc. And honorary engagement points at the discretion of the speaker or chairperson. So because the original guidelines for the points couldn't possibly cover all the different avenues in which reps could be involved, we included honorary engagement points as a method for thanking reps for their exemplary work on an initiative, helping out tabling, etc. Kind of more like on a case-to-case basis as well. So the intended purposes of the rep point system is to encourage representative engagement, recognize and highlight the work that representatives do, serve as a guide for how representatives can get involved in USG, just because to have a concrete table of activities that are encouraged kind of helps people guide people's involvement. It was not intended to be a competition, and there was no minimum point threshold, so there was no punishment for not reaching X amount of points. The points were all anonymous, and the two reps with the most points are recognized at the end of each semester. That being said, regardless of what the point system was intended to do, we as board members can't possibly know how you as reps are affected by this, since we aren't the ones that this will apply to. With that, I'd like to hear your thoughts and input on the subject, and open the floor for discussion and questions regarding the rep point system. So, obviously, if you see something that you like reformed, or if you just want to strike it completely, either way, we'll take steps towards whatever the general consensus is. So, I will now open the floor for discussion. What do you like and dislike? What would you like changed? Yes, Representative Karpinski.
So how are people supposed to be recognized at the end of the semester? What's that supposed to be like?
Sure. So in the past, we've done a lot of like a gift, typically something from the bookstore, at a max $50 per representative being recognized, and they're also introduced as the top. I don't want to say points starter, but the representative with the most points at the gala last year and during the last weekend for the fall semester. Any other questions? Yes, Veronica?
I just want to say it's a really great idea for the rep to engage and then to be on this assemblies, events like before for the organization.
Other questions, comments, thoughts? Yes, Representative Canazo.
First off, I think this is a great initiative to encourage greater participation from a lot of our USG representatives, initiatives, efforts sparked by USG. However, I do have a concern, which is there are also a lot of representatives who choose not to start initiatives or efforts, but instead choose to play integral parts helping out with current initiatives, committee members, entire committees. They form the backbone of all these events that are being pushed out by USG. So my concern is that this might not work in their favor, and I'm not sure how we're gonna work around that.
Yes, so I think in those situations, we would have to, award them an honorary engagement point. Again, this was something that would be at the discretion of the chairperson or speaker. So, if a particular representative, doing great work on an existing initiative, the chairperson would be within their rights to come talk to me and say, I think this rep should be recognized for what they do. Additionally, if a rep feels like they're contributing a lot to an initiative, they can speak to their chairperson or me, and we will set on a basis whether that would constitute an honorary engagement point. If we do re-implement this, then I will try to set out more solid guidelines for what would constitute an honorary engagement point. And we do want to be transparent with that process as well.
Yeah, so just two things. The first one is, what is the expectation for commissions? Does it follow the same thing as committee? I know it's a brand new thing, but, I didn't see any expectations like on the presentation regarding like what representatives supposed to do in that regard. And then the second thing too, is something I brought up also in the committee meeting when we first talked about this. Is there like a tangible, like, I don't know, like maybe certificate that, states that the representative have, showed very like good amount of participation within the GBM or any resolutions, but because I know like we use this approach for like the bookstore. Well, speaking about maybe creating like a certificate that like explains that this representative did a X amount of work, or they exceeded in their expectations of the representative, and hold it something tangible, for like future like job interviews or anything that might work like that. I don't know if you guys offer something like that, or it's also like an idea that might work or help.
Yeah, that's something that we can look into implementing. Some ideas that we're throwing around, we're having something that you put on your LinkedIn profile. If you receive that achievement, I haven't really looked into how to do that, but yes, I'm definitely open to discussing what the end of the year recognitions should look like. But yeah, a certificate fiscal would be definitely possible. Yes, Representative Nasser?
Another concern I have is that with the whole implementation of incentivizing representatives to push out initiatives and push out initiatives and do other things. Is that representatives might just push initiatives just because they can earn a participation point, and then what comes with that is that we lose function and purpose in a lot of the events that we're pushing out. So is there a way that we can possibly work around it?
Yeah, so I think intention and purpose is an important thing to consider here, especially because we don't want people to introduce legislation or events just for the sake of doing so to get a point. In that case, I think because all events and initiatives are usually considered and voted on by the body, and that's why we have it as resolution introduced and passed. So I think with the added security level of having to pass this initiative resolution through the body, you guys get to vote on what you think exemplifies something that encompasses our mission and duty. So yeah, I would hope that if you do believe a representative is introducing something that is not thought out, then you would vote in that. Yes, Representative Moore?
Okay, so I know it was obviously passed
for a specific reason in fall 2021. But why presently now do you think we need this? I'm not against it, but I just feel like, as Nazar was saying, that we shouldn't be incentivized to participate. Like, we all joined this org because we care about the student body. We're here to like make it better in any way we can contribute. So I just don't think, like, I don't want to be incentivized by a gift from the bookstore. I just want to do it because I'm here and I'm like, I want to make it better on campus,
Yeah, so I mostly viewed it as kind of a way to reward good work rather than an incentive to get us to do the work. Because obviously, like, there's no punishment for doing not enough, and like, it's not meant to be in any way like, in any way, to incentivize the work that you guys are already doing, because a lot of you are already doing work. If you feel uncomfortable by being, I guess, subjected to the system, we did consider also having an opt-in, opt-out, process. But yeah, the original intention, I don't think it was meant to, promote, like, say, oh, reps aren't doing enough, so let's have this point system to have them do more. It was more to reward the good work that was already being done. But, yeah, if you feel uncomfortable, then, we thought about doing an opt-in, opt-out system. Is that in July?
I've seen the details around Lauren's point, but at the same time, I don't think it's questioning students. You are all here for a reason, working together in our school and working together also. Right? So I would like to join your, resolution. I would love to come there, support you at the same time, get points. Or it's nothing wrong with it. We are getting rewarded when we are helping each other and working together. I think it gives really right motivation to me. And this motivation is, I believe, help us to work more and remember us while we're here.
Representative Woydilla?
I agree. I don't think it has to be that deep. And I respect it because you could tell it has good intentions. And on top of that, there, like you said, like to emphasize, there is no minimum threshold. So no one's forced to do anything they don't want to do, which is a big thing to keep in mind.
This is just kind of like a suggestion, but instead of like assigning points to members, like have we thought about doing nominations where like at the end of the semester, maybe like either the body or like committee chairs or anyone really can just nominate someone based on like the work that they see them doing instead of assigning points?
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. My only concern with that is that, again, the point system was not meant to be a competition, so I wasn't sure if, like voting for the it's best would be as nonpartisan as we would want it to be. But we could consider that. Yes, Diana?
I just wanted to ask you a question. Do you mean like nominate as in like each chairperson like nominates one person from their committee as like someone they feel has shown like the most engagement? Did you mean like that? I just wanted clarity.
Yes, but also now I can see the issue with that where like a lot of committee chairs wouldn't see the work that other reps are maybe doing on like certain events. So I guess if it comes to us picking this option, it could be like nominating, like anyone can just like nominate, and it doesn't have to be like a specific committee chair nominating. Yeah.
Thank you.
Representative Sauter and then Representative Ford.
To follow up on that idea though, I understand that the problem would lie in this competitive nature or spirit or whatever, but same thing could technically still be applied to the original resolution, regardless of intent for both. So I think that disregarding that flaw, maybe not with like committee directors nominating, if everybody could just nominate, hey, like this person did really good work. And I really appreciate them because we are a community, hopefully, and we do support each other. People would actually be genuine in that approach. But I don't think that this resolution has any more flaws than the last one, like the point system that's being proposed. I think they both have their pros and cons.
Yeah, so I think a benefit that the point system has is that it's supposed to be anonymous. Only I see the number of points that each rep gets. And
I mean, but if somebody couldn't they just look through the meeting packets and see what resolutions were passed? I mean, if they really wanted to do all that work. And then to kind of go with the nominations, I honestly think that that will contribute more to community building because now we're, like you said, incentivized to actually, have my fellow representatives like me and like the kind of advocacy work that I'm doing, like not me specifically, but you get the point. So I think that probably works is a more genuine incentive than the point system, if I'm being honest.
Representative Lynn?
Personally, I've never been a fan of the point system. I want to say that I was in the audience when that administration adopted the point system when I was applying in fall of 2021, and I thought it was strange then. I think that the point system is condescending. I think it talks down to the House of Representatives. I question whether the cash prize has ever really been constitutional, since it's clearly stipulated that representatives aren't allowed to be compensated like the e-board is, either the Constitution or the bylaws. Regardless of that, I think that the reason that we're here is not for gold stars or prizes in the end. I think the reason we're here is because we have initiatives that we care about and things that we want to do. I think it's better if we just foster engagement in our meetings every day. And in terms of what Kemby was saying, trying to find a new way to reward people, because I think it is important that we recognize when people do good work. I think we've had a way to do that for a long time. I think that reports are really the best way for the executive board to recognize representatives, if that's what they'd like to do, instead of tallying things up, tallying up sponsorships on the resolutions, which is what it like really boils down to in the end. Reports are an avenue every general body meeting for the executive board to recognize what representatives are doing within committees and in the government as a whole. I think that that's the best way for us to handle it. Apart from that point, if I could ask a question, I'm curious about when you said that we decided to put the representative point system on hold. Is the point system incorporated into the bylaws?
It is, but a lot of it is left up to the discussion of the speaker and how it's executed, so it was multiple to do that.
Okay.
And sorry, to address the sponsor thing, we did recognize that as an issue from last semester, that a lot of people from certain committees that maybe do more resolutions, so wrapping up a lot of points, especially with co-sponsorships. So one of the resolutions that was introduced and tabled was to get rid of the co-sponsorship costs, so that all representatives who are writing their own resolutions would get a point. But thank you for your feedback. Any other questions, comments? Yes, Melissa?
I really like the idea of nominations as well. However, I know that for like other types of awards, when people like a member of UIC staff nominates a student, there is a sort of like independent review board that kind of like reviews the nominations and like sees who gets the award. But in terms of that sort of review process for USG, I'm not exactly sure who we reach out to for that, because the e-board is going to be a little bit biased if we're nominating a person. And so for that sort of review process to happen, there'd be a lot of logistical things that we need to figure out. And if we did, I think it would still be a really good idea. I'm just not sure how we do that.
I don't know if it's a great idea, but it's the first one that popped in my head. What about like the deputy chairs? Because like they're kind of like the halfway point between working with the board as well as being so integrated with the reps. And I think, I don't know, it'd be fun. If I was a deputy chair, I'd love to do that.
Can they be nominated though?
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Right. Redacted, not on the record.
I was looking at the advisor more, like on that side, because you're present at every meeting, yet I don't think you would be biased, would you?
Oh.
Yeah, good.
He has no eyes. Clearly not.
Gotcha.
Are there any other questions or comments? Representative Dean?
So just for clarification, the whole point of the system, is it like operated by semester or you have to do?
It's by Representative Hazard and then President. Yeah, so I think because of the problem that we've encountered and for increasing the worldwide amount of coverage, I'm not sure if this will be good to have this late this semester for this semester. It's something that we can look into for next year as well, if you want to. But it's definitely, for the sake of time, we might have to have a discussion on this soon. But it's definitely a conversation that we can continue to have. Yes, President Murphy?
Yeah, just to add something, the point system was implemented way before last year. If you look in the box, you can see there's like representative activity log and meeting 6 of spring 2019. So the point system has been in place since way before last academic year, and the whole reason why last administration brought it back is because it was an effective way to get more engagement.
Representative Slaughter?
In response to that, President, was engagement tracked in previous years, like when this resolution was first implemented? In terms of like what types of resolutions were passed, the impact possibly that it would have had on the student body, you know? And even this might be a good point that student government should be keeping tabs or metrics on in passing resolutions going forward.
Yeah, for sure. Over the years, our record keeping has improved. Just like looking over the box, you can find hints of like what previous student government administrations have done. But in terms of how we do our record keeping, yeah, that is actually a really great idea. I think we will look into that, like post event or post initiative, like something and such.
I will have to wrap up discussion soon, but are there any final questions or comments? Yes, Representative Karpinski?
Yeah, personally, I'm against this. I'll vote yes for it though. It's like perfectly fine. It's like okay. Like for me personally, like I'm sorry, but like for me, like personally, like I didn't mean that like passive aggressive. I just don't feel this too much. Like I feel motivated on my own just fine. I think a lot of people do too. That's why we're here. But if people feel like it's a good way to keep up like engagement, which I think can be like to get more like uses of the budget and stuff like that. I think it's fine. I'm as long as you just don't push it down my throat. Michelle. I'm just kidding. We'll talk.
Okay. Representative Plana?
Oh, I was gonna just piggyback off of what Sam said. I definitely agree with Sam said. I feel like it's more like looking down on representatives. I know it's like, to incentivize, but we're all here for a reason. Like, we're all here, to plan events, to really, to dedicate, our time as students to to make a difference. So I just feel like it's very condescending. And also I feel like it like takes away from like other people who might not want to make resolutions but work in the background, as Nazir said. So,
Representative Lynn?
Yeah, I appreciate that perspective. I also appreciate the perspective. Although I'd like to say that, I don't think it's a, whatever, it's fine type deal. I feel like this is like the way that the body handles like engagement and looking at, how we should award our members for their engagement. And, if it was not repealed, if it was revised by that administration when the quorum was like 2 people, there were only about like, if I remember correctly, like 5 people at the time that resolution we just looked at was adopted. If the e-board's way of assigning points and recognizing its representatives wasn't working for 5 representatives, I don't think it can work. I don't think it's sustainable for a House of Representatives that has 45 maximum seats. I really do think it's sort of, I think point systems aren't a great way of like leading an organization or fostering engagement in an organization. I don't like it when I've seen it in organizations in the past. I prefer not to use it in organizations that I'm a part of. I think that there's a better way that we can do this instead of just like letting it sit in the bylaws like it has been so long. I think we should consider revising it or all out repealing it. I don't think it's necessary. And since the bylaws necessitate a reward, I think it's a waste of money. So if we feel uneasy about the point system, I think we should consider revising or reviewing it. And if anybody would like to work on that, I would be happy to draft up a resolution, not to get a point, but
Yes, so, Representative Pigley, one last comment?
Yeah, I think it's not the right time to say we will spend our money, like, we need to spend our money. And it's just a simple gift. So I don't think anyone is looking forward for that $50, oh my God, I have $50. But, you know, like, we are still doing the same thing. But at the end, someone will take it in a gift that's real. When you are getting old and you will say, oh, no, to your grandmother, so gosh, you gave me this, it's very cute. And yeah, it's fine, it's just, and I don't think it will cause a competition or something. I mean, if someone had that, I will say, I cannot say it to my granddaughter maybe, but I would say, yeah, congrats, good for you. I think it's cute. Isn't it cute?
I think it's fine. Like, I really don't see what the issue
Final
is.
comments, Representative Rosenbaum.
I don't think it's any like, it's like a $50 thing, it's more like recognizing that, you know, it's a thank you at the end. I don't think it's really gonna lead some massive competitive where people are like trying to sabotage each other to get to the end, you know? Might make it interesting, but I don't think it's gonna get to that point. I think it's just a small thank you. I think it's, you know, you can read into it whatever you want, but I think it's just more about recognizing at the end, you know, the semester, whatever, nice job.
All right, thank you. Sorry, I'm gonna close up the discussion for now, but if it seems like this warrants a lot of opinions, please reach out to me because I would love to talk more about this, even appealing it. So, yeah, and then we'll now move on to the next step of the discussion, which is USG spending. Treasurer Gossa, would you like to talk about this?
Yes, please. That's my point. All right, so before I get into this, I'd just like to say that our budget administrator, Jesse, is going to be giving an update on the budget if we get to the reports. But I'd like to start this off by saying that we have over $40,000 remaining in our budget that is unallocated to anything, $40,000. That means that if we are to fully deplete our budget, we need to be allocating over $5,000 every single general body meeting. Now, I'm not saying we have to do that. I know we won't do that. There are going to be times when we allocate more, there are going to be times when we allocate less. But I really want to encourage you all to start thinking about larger initiatives, individual initiatives, initiatives that require larger amounts of funding that can make a lasting benefit, can cause lasting benefits for students on campus, that can last for years to come and benefit as many students as possible. You know, it's very common for USG to have excess budget towards the end of the year. In the past, USG has funded things like the sleeping pods that you'll see that are in the room directly below us. That was USG a couple of years ago. Another instance, USG donated a large sum of money to campus housing a couple of years ago when there was a large excess budget. Yes, these are things that we absolutely can explore this year, but I just want to put this on your radar now so that we as a body can decide what we want to do with plenty of time to benefit as many students as possible with larger initiatives. Our events are great. I fully encourage our events. I want to keep them going, but they definitely don't require a lot of funding, and that is perfectly fine. I'm not saying that we need to just spend our money to spend our money, but we all as a body need to collectively be thinking about larger initiatives that we can make a significant impact on campus because we have these resources provided to us. We have $40,000 left. Why should we not spend it? Why should we leave it and let it return to the dean of students? There are definitely ways that we can explore spending this. And again, I'm not saying we should spend it just to spend it. We need to think about ways to benefit as many students as possible. That's why I'm here. Just want to tell you all, just want to put this in perspective that if we really want to spend everything, we need to be allocating $5,000 every single GPM. And quite frankly, we have not done that yet. Another thing that I want to put in perspective is that this entire year, since last semester, we've only allocated $35,000. That's not even the amount that we have left. That's not even half of the amount that we have available to spend. So I don't want you all to go around thinking that we're just aimlessly throwing around our money, because we're absolutely not. Every single initiative that comes to the Treasury Committee is valid and a good use of USG funds. So I just want to encourage you all to continue thinking about this. How can we spend our money efficiently in manners that are going to benefit as many students as possible, while also not requiring too many different elements to the initiative? So I'd like to open the floor to your thoughts, questions, comments, anything, but this doesn't mean that we need to come up with a solution right now. We still have a number of weeks. This is why I mainly just wanted to put this on your radar right now.
Yes, Representative Goldwater.
So I like what you're saying so far, is that you're being transparent about the budget more so than in the past. And I know in my committee, there's a lot of things that we are looking to do as our other committees, but wouldn't being involved in too many big projects perhaps overextend ourselves as USG and create some image issues for us?
Yeah, that's absolutely a great point. Now, I'm not saying that we should limit the existing initiatives that we are working on, but we should think about additional ones that are more larger. Like I get what you're saying. We don't want to do too much at once, where we're going to spread ourselves too thin and then we're going to lack in other areas. That's why I think it's very important for us to think about particularly one large initiative for this administration, for this year of USG. Because at this rate, we're not going to spend all of our money, and we don't want that money to go right back to the Dean of Students, because we'll never see that money again.
Can I just clarify?
Yeah.
So it doesn't go to the Dean of Students, it goes into your reserve account. So just to kind of reiterate what I'm saying, when you all don't spend money year after year, your money's going to be spent in this year. And so currently, there's a very large reserve that just that that was because over the last 20 years, USG has not, or all the student governments have not spent all their money. So that money is given to you all to spend within the calendar year. And so when that's not spent, then your student fees won't be utilized. So I think that's the point. But it has to say it's not coming to this. It's just getting accounts.
Thank you for clarifying.
Representative Dua.
It's not just USG, it's all.
Go ahead. So considering there's like so much money left over, is there like no way we can donate it to like student orgs and their initiatives, since if we don't have like any potential initiatives of our own?
Well, that's the thing. I want us to start thinking about initiatives of our own. So giving this money to student organizations would be very complicated. CSI, they already have a budget from the university dedicated to student organizations.
That's also not.
Exactly. So their budget's not fully depleted. So I guess the philosophy behind that is, why should USG funds go to that when there's already funds that are not being fully utilized? Also, benefiting individual student organizations would, we as students don't have the capacity, we don't have the ability to do that for student organizations. That is like a paid position. That is something that the university should be doing, and they do. So it's not really something that USG can do. We don't really have the capabilities to do that. But again, I just really want to start thinking about general things. Like, no idea is too big, no idea is too small. That's the whole point of this conversation. Like, please just give ideas.
Representative Ali.
Official list.
Yeah, we do have an official list, and there are vendors that are not on that official list. So we can work with the Dean of Students to get like a more concrete list, but I do have a list, yes.
Representative,
I don't know if this is a stupid question, but like, can we tap into the reserve funds?
Representative Slaughter.
To follow up on something that I said last week, like, especially with me knowing about this Chick-fil-A business being a hot topic of discussion, what if we could host because it's a lot of money, and if we don't spend it, like the goal is to spend it, right? What if we could host some kind of local business, I don't know, day or something like that at the end of the semester, so then students could kind of get a vibe of like, what kind of restaurant would they want on campus? So again, just following up on that, because especially if it's a funded, like, then students could literally say, I like this food choice the best. Then that will also give folks the chance to also propose like any halal restaurant options that are in the area. So students don't have to be concerned about not being able to eat on campus, which I think is ludicrous. And like, you know, like just let students decide. But especially if we have, like you said, that much money in reserves, if we need to go all out, I think that was one idea or suggestion.
Thank you so much. That's a fantastic idea. And I do think it's something that's possible. And I really want to encourage ideas, more ideas like that to come. Now, think about the actual specificities that we'd have to go through USC Catering because they've got some pretty serious regulations there. But, you know, this is definitely something that we should explore.
Dr. Dyer?
Big rotation, that's definitely a rate of 20. But Fred, now that we have one more, you mentioned that CSI does have that budget to allocate for different organizations. I'm just curious, a lot of students, especially with some organizations that come to us, we've had to find them like events. I'm curious, do you currently know what the status is that CSI support funding, or what's that looking like? Yes, I wasn't able to get this to my board last meeting, but I did meet with Joy to talk about student organization funding. And, you know, it was supposed to be an item for discussion this meeting, but we're going to have to table it because I want Representative Magna to talk about it. But so I was able to learn a little bit more about student organization funding. Works similar to you know, how all other spending works here in this university. And, you know, I mean, she does recognize that there are some maybe flaws in how they do their process. So what we'll do is, this is something I have to talk with you, Fred, getting a room between Joy, you, and me, and talking about how we can streamline this process, maybe expand how CSI can fund student organizations. And so, I mean, that's the first step, and I still have yet to reach out to you and see how we can discuss that, compare processes between how we used to do things as student government, and how CSI.
I don't have that exact. Are you asking for the exact amount of like, how much is allocated? Or for you to,
No, just to like give us like, I think whole situation with CSI right now has been going on since last month. At least the majority of us haven't really been given a concrete answer as to why. So I was just curious, you know, maybe if you knew what was the holdup, why most of these organizations aren't getting that funding, especially when it comes to room reservations, like catering, projectors. So I was just curious if you know what the status was right now.
I mean, they are currently allocating money to student organizations. So if there's, you know, organizations that are saying they're not being funded, about that, we're not sure about specific cases.
Representative Flynn?
Just sort of a question, by the way, for those who aren't aware, this CSI is not like crime scene investigation, it's the Center for Student Involvement, which is, you know, it's a place that you would have to know about to know about. Except that's changing, and I'd like to thank Dr. McCall, especially for answering this question and telling us about this reserve funding, because that's a question that I have had and so many people have had since fall of 2021. It's good to know that you know, the fire that we've always thought was like lit under us in terms of getting funding spent is not like, it's not like that. That's really great to know. I appreciate that. I think we all do. In terms of like spending, I absolutely agree that we should work on more events, bigger events. I'm impressed with how large scale some organizations are in their events and how they're able to pay for them without university funding when we have a lot of university funding. And I think that despite CSI and its funding, you know, being geared towards student organizations, I think that working with student organizations as much as we can, based on procedural and budgetary restraints, is still a very fruitful idea. I think we can learn a lot from our student organizations who put on like fantastic events that are, thousands of dollars. I think that's a way to utilize our budget, which is something that's in our interest. But especially with this new information coming to light, I think that our attitude about spending can change. Personally, I feel like having a lot of money is not a reason to spend it. That's a reason that I keep savings in my bank account, even though I would love to spend it on stuff. While these resources are available to us, and we're extremely lucky to have them available to us from student fees, knowing that we're not going to be punished for not spending them, I think is a reason to maybe lay back on an intense desire to spend as much money as possible. I think that, like Ben was saying, there are no good reasons to leave money on the table. I agree with that, except I think there is one reason, and it's if you don't have a good reason to spend the money in the first place. I think there are a lot of things that we can spend our money on. There are probably an infinite amount of things we can spend our money on, but there are some things that are better than others. And with my questions about the budget and my nagging about how much spending with resolutions, I don't mean to curtail the ambitions of representatives who want to fund events. I just think that it's important that we keep in mind that, spending money is not for spending money's sake. It's for the action and the cause behind it.
Yeah, I'd like to respond. So I absolutely don't think we should view the USG budget as savings, because that is a completely different situation. We're provided this budget and we're expected to utilize these funds to benefit as many students as possible. Now, again, I'm going to reiterate, I want us to look into more initiatives to spend money efficiently to benefit as many students as possible in ways that we should. Now, when you mention spending money just to spend it, that's the whole reason why I'm having this conversation right now, so that we can collectively, as a body, discuss and figure out what we can do to benefit as many students as possible. So instead of us talking about not spending because we shouldn't just spend to spend, why don't we talk about what we can spend on? Why don't we talk about what we can do collectively to benefit as many students as possible? Let's think about initiatives. Let's stop talking about what we shouldn't do.
I agree. I'm not saying we shouldn't spend. I'm saying we should spend wisely.
I absolutely agree with you, and that's why we're having this conversation.
Representative Moore?
This might be a dumb question, but is there any way to improve the funds for like scholarships this year?
That's absolutely not a dumb question at all. I think that is totally something that we need to explore, because there's definitely a possibility there. And it's not something that we would do in the 8th week or the 9th week, but that's something that we would do towards the end of USG when we know how much money we have remaining in our account and how much we can allocate to these scholarships. So I'm not saying that it's absolutely yes, something we can do. It's something that I want to look into, and we definitely should explore it. So thank you so much for bringing that up.
Representative Scott?
I've had a lot of conversations with my peers, and so there is a recurring theme of a lot of UIC students complaining about the fact that they have to pay for their fees, and then it comes the additional load of buying books comes into the picture. That's like additional burden for them. Is there a way that we can use the funds to allocate to buying books and resources for students?
I'm just going to respond really quick, and then I'll pass it to Matthew. That's a great idea. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Now, quite frankly, I don't think we have the amount of money that we would need to make a significant difference for students and their books, but it's absolutely something that we should look into, because if we can benefit some students in that sense, then it's totally something we should look into. But Matthew.
Yeah, so we definitely can. Usually has done these type of initiatives in the past. 3 years ago during the pandemic, that administration gave $10,000 of its budget to the what's no longer a program now, which we're trying to get back. It's called the OER faculty incentive program. So originally that program had $20,000. We provided $10,000 of our budget to add on to that. That saves students around $260,000 collectively. In addition, last year, under the Student Success Committee, we were able to purchase books to complete the course reserve program under the library. So I mean, these are initiatives that we can definitely explore. With that initiative, where we donated books to the library, I know that there's some sort of poems ballot from the Dean of Students, but I know that our funding policy is up in the air and like how we can spend it. So that's why we didn't do it this semester, because it was kind of shaky whether we could do that or not. But that's something we'll definitely be exploring.
Yes, please.
Follow-up question. At that point in time, how did you identify students?
Yeah, so when we did this initiative, we reached out to the course reserves team and also the UIC bookstore to kind of figure out what books are needed. What we did was just complete the catalog of books, because there are certain textbooks that they just weren't able to buy with their budget, and there's some policies behind it as well. So we're like, okay, we'll just buy this for you and complete the course reserve. Okay.
For the sake of time, we will begin having a discussion. Are there any final comments or questions? Representative Omar, and then.
I just have a question. So how do we know exactly what we can spend our budget on? Because I know there's some sort of gray areas when it comes to specific things, such as donating money to organizations that may need it. You said that it would be so. But then another representative mentioned that we could use money towards scholarships. So like, how do we know where that line is drawn? Because I feel like we have a lot of good ideas, we just know what we can use the money towards.
Yeah, absolutely. And there definitely is a lot of gray areas in our funding abilities. Yes, absolutely. So my idea is that we should generate as many ideas as possible, no matter how big, how small, whether we may be able to do them or not. Doesn't matter. I think we should come up with all ideas. Then we all come together, discuss them, and then take it to our advisor. And he will absolutely be able to tell us what we can and can't do, because the job of the Dean of Students is the job of our advisor. So again, I just want to encourage everyone to think about any ideas, no matter how big or small, whether they may cost millions of dollars or thousands of dollars. It's really good. Yeah.
So there's a funding guideline that all student governments have that indicates what can do. Because it also, like, even though it's USG's money, it's through the university accounting. So there's policies and procedures through the university through which you can and can't spend money for. So USG has to follow those policies, but that's not what
Yeah, just to add on to that. So at the last orientation, that's what you saw, the funding guidelines. I had a screenshot directly taken from the Dean of Students handbook, but I'd like to follow up by saying that resource guide is all on the Dean of Students website. That's open to any student here. You can find the student government's funding policies there.
Final comment, Representative Kruger.
So I was gonna make a suggestion. If anyone ever sees from campus, kind of like their Wi-Fi issues or there's power outlets or anything, you can also probably see if you can make some kind of idea out of that. Maybe you can budget that. I personally will be looking into like some more outlets. Maybe we can do something. But that's what I would.
Thank you. Sorry, we have to wrap up discussion, but any closing comments,
Yeah.
Mr. Costa?
I just want to close up and say thank you all for participating in this conversation. You know, this is going to be an ongoing conversation, as we do want to use this budget responsibly, and we ideally want to utilize as much as we can in a manner that's going to benefit as many students as possible. So I just want to encourage you all to continue thinking about this as time goes on. But thank you again so much for coming up with these ideas. And again, no idea is too big, no idea is too small. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, we'll move on to the next item. I motion to table student organization funding as an item for discussion for, as mentioned by Professor Matthew, Representative Begna was going to speak on this, and she's not present today, so for next time. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion carries. Our next item for discussion is the USG website. Weapons Administrator of Mauricio, would you like to speak about this?
They're working? All right, perfect. All right, so yeah, so I'd like to speak a little bit more about the website, especially for the people who weren't there at the orientation last week, or I guess, I'm not sure exactly, last week, yeah, I'm not sure, time passes really fast. But yeah, so I just want to give my current goals for the website that I'm currently working on. So our current website that is live is very messy. It's not streamlined. It's hard to find things. You click some place, it leads to another one. You're like, but I'm trying to find this. It's not there. You know, it's very messy right now. And so we've been working for like the past semester and this semester to rework it. So we have a test website right now that is currently private, but we are looking to have a focus group this week, which will be testing out and whatnot. I will probably be sending out an email this week, like with screenshots and just like detailing like a bunch of stuff about the website and like what new things will be added and whatnot. My general thoughts about it are that I want to make it streamlined. I want to make it so that the content that you want to find is where you expect it to be and there in the first place, and also update it on time, because I know that, for example, when I was trying to make the new website, right, I would like try to Google like information and whatnot about USG, and where it would lead me was the current website, and I'm like, that information is not there, right? So like, I want to avoid that as much as possible, make sure that, you know, the information is there and whatnot. And in general, I would like to just open up the floor just to ask like any kind of, like if you have any questions or like any suggestions that you would want to see implemented in the website, then go ahead.
Are there any thoughts on the USG website? Yes, Representative Karpinski?
I want to see a like form for students at large to submit like criticisms or like issues that they have with not just the student government, but with USC in general, so that we can better sort of, I know we have a contact page, but it isn't really like, I assume it's not, like, it's kind of hard to find. It's like, well, you know, what are you gonna do with it? So I feel like having something dedicated to, like explicitly for like problems students have would be really good. And I like to work with people.
That sounds good. Definitely shoot me an email and then we can work on it a little more. But yeah, a form like that would be very good, I believe. Just because like in general, like before any like GBM and whatnot, we can have that to discuss and whatnot. And that'd be pretty good.
Yes.
So we actually discussed a forum like that during our PAC meeting where we can kind of advertise our public comment section as well as provide a forum for those who are unavailable to come to our meetings during this time, because it is like 6 to 8 and not many people can make the commute. So we thought of like making this forum where people can, you know, submit like any concerns or issues that they have, which like we would review and then hold them as items for discussion during our meeting. So yes, we would love to work with you on that.
Any other comments on the USG website? Yes, Sophia.
Oh, I just want to add something. I don't even think I need a microphone, to be honest. So we're also trying to do like a little tabling event for public affairs, where people will be able to write down and like talk to us about some issues that they're having, as well as for our social media. I wanted to add that we're actually also working on like social media, like coming up to students, and creating recordings of like asking students what they worry about on campus or what are some important things to them, and just get their opinions and like spread the word around about USG, what we do, and what they want us to do. Thank you.
Any other questions? Ryder, if you can't think of anything right now, but would like to take a look at it,
email Kenvi.
Just contact me. Yes,
Yeah, one last thing I want to add is that recently we've been working more on transparency, right? And so for under each committee page, we will be adding the appropriate meeting minutes as well. So anyone can just click on the committee and then see what was discussed during the meeting. So, yeah.
All right. If there are no other comments, again, if you're interested on giving feedback for the website, please reach out to Casey and Mauricio, and we'll move on to the next item for discussion, which is USG new components. So based on the feedback received last week during the GBM and representative one-on-ones, there are a couple of new features that I would like for us to implement on a trial basis to try and improve the USG experience based on some of the concerns raised before. So first thing to introduce is not necessarily new, but something that I will be sharing with all of you is the USG resolution tracker that you can see on the screen. I will make this editable to you all as well. Basically, it contains the status of all resolutions being worked on, voted on, and passed. Past resolutions are linked to the box if you want to look at it, so just a demo. I don't know what resolution this is. Tailgate event, that was from last semester, but yeah, great resource. If you're writing your resolutions, check the tracker. It's great for knowing which code that we're on, because obviously multiple people work on a number of different resolutions per week, so it's great for ensuring that there's no duplicates. It's also a helpful guide. It's great if you're not sure how to title your resolution. And once you more or less finalize the resolution that you're writing, feel free to add it to the tracker so that other people know that it exists. I will share the document with everyone as editors after the meeting, so please let me know if you can't access it. Any questions or comments regarding the tracker? Okay, moving on. Something that a lot of you brought up during one-on-ones was that you would like a more consolidated, I guess, database for the initiatives being worked on by each committee. So something that I'm thinking we can implement is that you just use Trello. For those who are not super familiar, it's kind of like a project management app. And so basically committees and individuals, whatever, anyone can add an initiative as card. And as you can see, I've made an example. So you can add a member for, like, no one's in this board, it's just me. But if you have someone working on it with you, you can add another member. You can add labels. So if it's a treasury and PAC collaboration, you can add those two committees as people working on it as well. You get notifications. You can write a description for the event so that everyone knows what it's for. So like if I want to do a USG event to promote USD or USG initiatives. Save it, this will be public to everyone and they will know what events are. You can do a to-do list for the people that you're working on the event or initiative with. So have an item like contact Michelle. Add it and you can check it off as you complete them so that everyone knows the progress at which initiatives are progressing. If you're not working on an initiative that's on the board but you want to, or you just want to leave a comment, you can say, hey, I'd like to work on this initiative, and then hopefully that person will reach out to you. Or, hey, I think you should use less funds for this. I think it's just in an asynchronous way for people to have discussions on initiatives. I will create a more concrete template for people to make their cards. It's something that the e-board has been using in the past, and I thought it was helpful for everyone to have consolidated space for that as well. Are there any questions regarding the Trello? I will do a better demo if we continue to use this, and we'll try to implement it by next week. Okay, all right, and so we can see that, yes, President.
Yes, after this, can we also talk about the office hours? So, if I can speak of that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, firstly, any questions on the Trello before we move on with that?
Yes.
So this is just a question. Do all the committee chairs use Trello for their like own personal committee? No. Can I follow up?
Yes.
I just wanted to say that if we had like individual Trellos, it'd be easier for like you, so that we can just add like members and then it could be like accessible to everyone. Instead of like one big board, because sometimes things can get jumbled up. So then like I know on Trello, like there's like different boards, and then if you had it like as a committee, as like a different board, then like, I feel like that'd be more like, organized.
We can do different boards for each committee. We can also do different lists for each committee, so if I wanted to do like, DIC, add that as a list, and then all the initiatives under DIC. But we can talk about the best way to implement this, just as a proof of concept. Any other comments, thoughts? If not, then we will move on to the next implementation. This is something that Representative David Karpinski brought up during the one-on-one. Would you like to speak a little on the need for this? Oh.
Yeah. Hello? Okay. Yeah, so after last week's conversation, I thought we needed a better way to communicate with each other. That is more communication. And what better way to communicate than with the internet? So this was more so Michelle's idea to use Slack. I also wanted to implement something that was anonymous, so that people could make could make comments if they weren't comfortable making them publicly with their own technology, am I right? Yeah, so I would like to see this being used. I think, especially like to an extent, I think we have to like, trust each other to actually use this correctly. I know there were concerns about whether or not like basically subsume conversation in real.
It's okay, the mic is.
Okay, I'll just project whatever. This is stupid. Yeah, I think there's some valid points about whether or not we want this to basically control like conversation and like having two conversations at once. I think that could be a problem. I think we need to try it out. We're gonna try it out next week. I hope while we're like, having this in person. Yeah, I think it just gives us more flexibility both to talk in person, online, to talk more about what we want to talk about. Because, you know, it's almost 8 and we've been, you know, going over for like the past like couple meetings now. And I think having like a starting point to talk from would make things faster, more efficient, and give us better conversations. I know a lot of people have opinions. I have opinions too. So I want to be able to put them on the internet.
So to build off of that,
yeah. No, yeah, there's also, I was talking to Mike with this, I think also connecting people who graduated from USC and who were in USG and who have like experience doing things. I think to an extent we have a brain drain problem where like all the people who are, you know, experts and have like who have worked on things, you know, leave and then never to be heard from again. But I think this having like a way to organize it on Slack would make things better. Yeah, and if you guys have any comments, please let me know. I'd like to hear how we can improve this.
So the general function for the Slack is I have different who's used Slack before? Okay, great. So we kind of know how it works. I have different channels for items for discussion, resolutions. So before each GBM, after the packet is sent out, I will be sending little messages for each item for discussion or resolution. So, for example, resolutions 2023 S6-1007. If you want to look over that resolution before the meeting and make some comments, kind of guide our discussion during the meeting, you can reply under the thread, say, I hate this resolution. Oh, don't say that, but like constructive criticism, thoughts, questions, stuff like that can all go under these threads, kind of keep track of what threads are active here. I thought it would be a great way to have discussion be continuous outside of GBM, because 2 hours is not that much time, as evidenced by the fact that our past couple meetings have been going over. So hopefully I will add you onto this, and we'll do it on a trial basis. Questions, comments? Yes, Melody?
Not specific to this, but if we're getting to the reports, can people like not read the whole page?
Yeah, I'll make sure that's not there. Any comments, questions on Slack? Okay. Oh, yes, Yash.
So like, you guys were talking about anomalies. So if someone can pull something and you can't see your name, that's what you're saying.
So that is a feature that we're looking into implementing. I have like a bot that can do that right now. I'm not sure if it functions in the threads. But if someone wanted to make anonymous comments, they will. I'll do an FAQ after this. Yes?
And again, we're still trying this out, so we're gonna try this out next week. I hope it's gonna be with the anonymous feature and like being able to talk during meetings, like having like the two conversations at the same time. But if that doesn't work out, we'll fix it and we'll work on this together. I hope this will be a project between all of us. So,
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Monty?
I think, I know you kind of just said that, we might have two conversations, one in Slack and like one in person. But I think that might become a little bit of an issue with like people typing a lot and like not talking during the meeting. And so I really like the idea of being able to like converse about the resolutions and about the items of the discussion like in Slack. But I think it might be a good idea maybe for like people to be able to discuss these things like prior to the meeting, because I know Michelle like gives us the packet at the beginning of the day or on Sunday. And so maybe if we could discuss it prior to the meeting so that maybe the discussion doesn't end up as long. And then kind of cease discussion in the Slack so that people are kind of focused into the meeting when they're present might be a good idea.
Or something that, yeah, I think that's valid. I think it's probably likely actually. But I still want to try it I think that's just a better, you know, if it ends up failing, we'll get it. Like,
all right, any final questions or comments on this? Okay, if not, we will start this next week and see how it goes. We'll now move on to our next item of discussion, which is officer reports.
Can I table that?
Yes, table, okay, sorry, motion to table officer reports as an item for discussion.
Motion to table the reports.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion passes. The next item for discussion is bystander intervention. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll be talking about this for Felix. We talked about this in our director meeting, and I know we are at the end of our meeting, but I wanted to bring it up and we can always discuss more next week. Basically, the idea of this is to partner with the Women's Leadership and Resource Center and the Campus Advocacy Network on a bystander intervention event. And basically, this would talk about how to be an active bystander in a situation that could lead to a sexual assault or any, potential negative event, and how to actively become involved. With this event, if you see emailed in the meeting packet, is something called a nightcap. So what this would be is, in collaboration with the WLRC and CAN, we would be purchasing these nightcaps, which I know Sophia talked about, how to protect students from roofing at clubs and whatever. A nightcap basically is a drink cover. And so USG would be purchasing these nightcaps and supporting an event about bystander intervention. So this would implement a tabling and an event. So the plan is to order 1,000 of these and have 500 passed out during the tabling and 500 passed out during the event. They come in a scrunchie or a keychain in a variety of colors. So no matter what a person identifies as, they'll be comfortable with whatever nightcap they prefer. So this is an idea that the committee wants to put out. And I think this is a great way to collaborate with organizations on campus and to provide a tangible item for USG use of budget. I thought this would be a great way. And I know his committee members also know about this event, so if they have anything else to add, but just wanted to give a gist of the idea.
Are there any questions or comments regarding the bystander? Yes, Representative.
I was looking to go to one of these workshops that Camp puts up, and I'd just like to say that like the workshop that they do of all of the bystander intervention or like any topic relevant to it that I've ever done, like in my life in school or work. It was by far the best one. They're very professional. They're really great at fostering conversation about a very uncomfortable and very real personal topic. So I think anything that we can ever do with CAN is a great idea. And I think especially this NICAP initiative is like a fantastic idea.
Any other questions or comments? If not, then for the sake of time, I motion to table excellency reports and officer reports. Chairs and the board, please send any crucial updates via email or the me. And then I strongly, highly encourage everyone to read the reports because there is important information on it. We are able to have a discussion, but reports. So everyone promise me you'll read the reports, and I motion to table excellency reports and officers. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? Okay, if not, then the motion carries. Oh, before we go, yes?
So I have pamphlets from courts, from the Department of Labor. I had a discussion with this person during my Latino labor rights class, and I got a lot of their pamphlets, includes like about like labor and wages that students should know, and also paid leave, to know your rights about paid leave. So I'll just pass it over.
Yes, we are now in announcements. So go ahead.
So for the focus group this Friday, it's gonna be from 5:30 to 6 p.m. We're gonna be meeting in the USG office. If you just want to provide some feedback on the website, I hope to see some of you there. I realized that I didn't open the floor to everyone, and this is just me announcing and extending the invitation to provide some feedback before launching.
Any other announcements? Yes, Monica.
Jamie Arnold from the Campus Advocacy Network reached out to me about collaborating on some events, and so if you're interested in that, please reach out to me. And also another person from Campus Advocacy Network also reached out to us about another couple events. So if you're interested in any of that, please reach out to me. But there will be an event that the Campus Advocacy Network is holding alongside the African American Cultural Center and the Women's Leadership and Resource Center. That's called Healing Mixtape. That's going to be hosted at the African American Cultural Center, and it's going to be on March 1st from 12 to 2 p.m. So check it out if you're interested.
Senator Slaughter?
Just encouraging y'all to look at Chairperson Alvarez's report. And I just wanted to thank everyone who came out to lobby this.
Yes,
So just for the movie night resolution, I'm open to any movie recommendation from you guys. This doesn't have to be the mental health related, but like just you can still it to me or just text me for me.
Any other announcements? Yes, Monica.
Sorry, one last thing. Me, Michelle, Mike, I believe, are meeting with some mental health consultants that are coming to UIC tomorrow. Michelle kind of messaged the body about this in the group meet, and kind of talked about it in a couple of meetings like a month or two ago. But that's happening tomorrow at noon. So if you have anything that you'd like us to bring to those consultants, concerns, questions, things about resources, please reach out to us about that so that we can get it to them.
I have one last thing to say if there are no more announcements. Okay, I just want to thank you all for the conversation that we had last weekend. As you can see, we have begun taking steps towards addressing the issues that have been raised. That being said, we will likely not have another item for discussion specifically for this, because I expect similar open conversations to be happening at a committee level in the future. Otherwise, also, from now on, I would like to strongly reiterate that if you do have a USG-related concern, it is your prerogative to come speak to me directly or utilize any of the other mechanisms for feedback that we've implemented. So feel free to reach out to me via email or text /GroupMe to set up a chat. We have the exit pool now, which Johnny will send out that you can fill out. there's 40 of you and only one of me. And I am always here for you as a resource and confidant, but this is a two-way street. If you let me know of an issue or concern, I will do my level best to address it, but I can't do that if you don't let me know about it. And I am human, so if you brought something up to me and haven't seen any improvement or I haven't addressed it, please just check in with me again. And yeah, this is a two-way relationship. I trust you guys to come to me and be in the loop, and you can trust me to address your concerns. All right, with that, are there any last announcements? Okay, if not, then we'll move on to the next item for order of business, which is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Nay. Is anyone saying? If not, the meeting is now at 8:06.